Hello everyone, how are you? Hope you are doing very well. Today we will learn another topic. It will be classifying triangles by angles. Today we will cover page 403 and 404. If you are ready, please open page 403. Okay, let's start with the meaning of a triangle. Triangle has 3 sides and 3 angles. Because of this we say triangle. And remember the kind of angles. The angles may be right, acute or obtuse. In accordance with the angles, we give some names for triangles. For example, an acute triangle has 3 acute angles. Even if one of them is obtuse angle, we will say it is an obtuse triangle. And if one of the angles is right angle, it represents a right triangle. So what angles are in these triangles? Let's check them one by one. First of all, let's check my triangle. So can you see any acute, right or obtuse angle? Let's check it. So there are 2 acute angles and one of them is obtuse angle. So check the meanings. Even if one of them has obtuse angle, we will say it is an obtuse triangle. So the other triangle, check my angles first. 3 angles. So 3 angles, all of them is acute angles, right? 3 of them acute angle. If there are 3 acute angles, we will say it is an acute triangle. So it represents an acute triangle. So if one of them has right angle, what we will say for this? We will say a right triangle. So 2 of them acute angle, just only one of them right angle. But for a right triangle, just one angle. If it is one of them is right angle, we will say it a right triangle. Let's check the others. For example, this one. So there are 2 triangles, 2 acute angles, and one of them is obtuse. If one of them is obtuse, we will say it's an obtuse triangle. Okay, so the other one is, let's check it. 3 angles and 3 of them is acute angles. If they are acute angles, we will say it is an acute triangle. The other one is represent only one of them is right angle. Even if one of them is right angle, one of them is enough. So if one of them is right angle, we will say it is a right triangle. Acute angles, we will say obtuse angles and right triangles. So remember this. Let's check the others. It say complete a Venn diagram that groups triangles by type. Let's check the meanings of them. An acute triangle has 3 acute angles. An obtuse triangle has 1 obtuse angle, and a right triangle has one right angle. So we will say a right triangle. How can I give a name for this triangle? We can say it is XYZ, ZYX, XZY, YXZ, YZX. So we can give so different names for this triangle, but it will represent the same triangle. So right now we will show it by putting this Venn diagrams, acute, obtuse or right. Check the angles. So if we check, we will find 3 acute angles. An acute triangle has 3 acute angles. It means XYZ angle represents an acute triangle. For obtuse, for example, we can say TSR triangle. One of them is obtuse angle, S, angle S. So if it is one of them is obtuse angle, we will say it is an obtuse triangle. Good job. What about the next one? So while saying this, G, F, H. So check the angles. One of them is obtuse angle again. If one of them is obtuse angle, we will say this triangle is an obtuse triangle. U with W. So I can see one of them is right angle. If one of them is right angle, it represents a right triangle. So it means UVW triangle is a right triangle. Good job. So the next one will be OPQ. If we will check the angles, we will find three acute angles. If it has three acute angles, which one is right? Perfect. So it is an acute angles, acute triangle. Good job. So the other one is represent. IGK. So how can I know it? So one of them is obtuse angle. One of them is obtuse angle. If one of them is obtuse angle, we will say it is an obtuse triangle. Check it. An obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle. What about this? Check it and try to categorize it. MLN triangle or triangle NLM. So I can see one of them is right angle. If one of them is right angle, we will say this triangle represents a right triangle, because only one of them is right angle. A right triangle has one right angle. What about this triangle? CDE, triangle CDE. So when we check the shape, we can see three acute angles. If it has three acute angles, it represents an acute triangle. Good job. Okay, now let's check your book. Please open page 403. A triangle is a polygon with three sides and three angles. Remember, if it has three sides and three angles, it represents a triangle. How can you give a name for a triangle? You can use triangle ABC, triangle BCA, triangle CAB, triangle ACB, or triangle BAC, or triangle CBA. You can switch their place. So let's identify right, acute and obtuse angles. If you want, you can identify by yourself and you can check it with me later. So first shape includes three acute angles. If it has three acute angles, it represents an acute triangle. So when you check the color type, it say red for one right angle, blue for one obtuse angle, and orange for three acute angles. O represents, we will color it by orange because it is an acute triangle. What about this? It say blue because one of them, the angle is obtuse angle. This is obtuse angle. If it is on obtuse angle, we will say it is an obtuse triangle. An obtuse triangle represents blue. So we need to color it by blue. Good. What about next? So I can see a right angle here. So this triangle represents a right triangle. We will color it by red for right angles, right triangles. Good job. What about this? I can see an obtuse angle here. So if it is one of them is obtuse angle, it is an obtuse triangle. So I need to color by blue. Good. The next one, I can see a right angle here. And a right angle represents a right triangle. So I need to color by red. The next one is, I can see three acute angles. If it has three acute angles, it represents an acute triangle. and I'll color by orange for acute triangles. What about this triangle? I can see a right angle here, so it shows a right triangle, and I need to color it by reds. What about this? I can see an obtuse angle here. If there is only one obtuse angle, it is an obtuse triangle, and I need to color it by blue. In the last one, I can see a right angle here, and if it has right angle, it means a right triangle, and I need to color it by reds. Good job. Okay, page 403 again. Try this part. It says name the triangle with one right angle. So, which one is include right angle? In the middle one, right? Perfect. So, we can say triangle PQR. Triangle RPQ. Doesn't matter. You can switch their place. So, this triangle represents a right triangle. Question B. It says name the triangle with an obtuse angle. Which one has an obtuse angle? X, Y, Z. Good. Because the angle Y is an obtuse angle. So we can say triangle XYZ is an obtuse triangle. It has an obtuse angle. Question C. It says name the triangle with three acute angles. Which one has three acute angles? Triangle ABC. Triangle ABC has three acute angles. So it is an example for an acute triangle. Good job. Right now turn on the page. Please open page 404. So if an acute triangle is a triangle with three acute angles. So an obtuse triangle is a triangle with one obtuse angle right here, and a right triangle is a triangle with one right angle. You can see the example from these pictures. So if you are ready, let's check the activity 2. It says use a Venn diagram to classify triangles. How can I classify them? I need to check the angles. First of all, there are some Venn diagrams here for acute triangles, right triangles, and obtuse triangles. I can identify easily right triangles, right? So let's start with the right triangles. If I see a right angle, perfect, right here, so I check it. Let's check triangle BCD, DCB, CDB, doesn't matter, you can switch their place. So I can see a right angle here. If there is one right angle, it is an example for a right triangle. So I need to write its name into this category, triangle BCD. Good job. What about next? Right here, good job. So angle PQR, triangle PQR. So I can see a right angle here. Angle Q is a right angle. So it is an example of a right triangle. Triangle PQR is an example for right triangle. Good job. Okay, what about the next? Let's start with triangle RST. It has three acute angles. If it has three acute angles, remember it, it is an example of an acute triangle. A triangle RST. The first triangle represents an example for acute triangle. What about next one? So triangle WVX. I can see an obtuse angle here. If there is one obtuse angle, it is an example for obtuse triangle. So we will categorize it into obtuse triangle, triangle WVX. Good job. What about this one? Triangle LMN. When I check this shape, I can see three acute angles. If it has three acute angles, it means it is an example for an acute triangle. Triangle LMN is an acute triangle. Perfect. What about this? When I check GHI, I can see an obtuse angle here. If it is only one obtuse angle, it means an example of an obtuse triangle. So we will write it here. Triangle GHI for an example of obtuse triangle. What about triangle ABC? When I check triangle ABC, I can see three acute angles. Three acute angles represent an example of acute triangle. So triangle ABC is an example of acute triangles. When I check the last shape, triangle DFE, I can see an obtuse angle here. If there is an obtuse angle, it means it is an example of an obtuse triangle. So I write it for obtuse triangle. Triangle DFE is an example of obtuse triangles. Remember it. If there are all of them is three acute angles, it means it is an acute triangle. If it's only one of them is right angle, it means it is an right triangle. And if it is one obtuse angle, it is shows obtuse triangle. Good job. Thank you so much.